Aethelburg was a city of serene, predictable perfection. Its towers of pearlescent chrome and living crystals soared into a sky perpetually painted in the gentle hues of a twilight dawn. Maglev vehicles hummed along designated pathways with silent, flawless efficiency. The citizens, clad in simple, elegant tunics, went about their days with a calm sense of purpose, their faces untroubled by the chaos and strife that had defined humanity's forgotten past. There was no poverty, no disease, no crime. Aethelburg was a utopia, a testament to the harmony its architects had achieved. Alex was a historical archivist, profession considered quaint and slightly eccentric, in a city that had little use for the past. His days were spent in the quiet, climate-controlled halls of the Grand Archive, cataloging data crystals that contained the sanitized, curated history of Aethelburg, a history that, as Alex often thought, was suspiciously devoid of any real conflict or struggle. Life was pleasant, stable, and if he was being truly honest with himself, profoundly soul-crushingly boring. There was a subtle sense of unreality to it all, like living in a perfectly rendered, endlessly looping dream. The day the dream shattered began with a simple, mundane act of clumsiness. Alex, lost in thought while riding a high-level maglev platform, stumbled, his foot catching on the edge of the smooth, featureless surface. The platform's safety protocols, which should have instantly erected a protective energy barrier, flickered and failed for a single, statistically impossible microsecond. Alex tumbled over the edge, the city's serene beauty rushing up to meet him in a terrifying blur. He expected the end, a sudden, painless cessation of his uneventful existence. Instead of oblivion, he woke up. He was lying on a soft, grassy knoll in a city park, the twilight sky above unchanged. His body, which should have been a broken mess, felt fine, not a scratch, not a bruise. It was as if the fall had never happened. But the world was different. Hovering in the top left corner of his vision was a small, translucent bar, glowing a healthy green. Beside it, the letters HP, 100 100s. Alex blinked. The bar remained. Up, his heart pounding, and looked around. The world was the same, yet fundamentally altered. Over the head of a woman walking a small, fluffy canine construct, a line of text floated. Lyra, citizen, LVL2. The dog thing had its own text. Snookham's companion, LVL1. Panic seized him. He scrambled to his feet, looking at his own hands. He half expected to see a health bar floating above them. He saw a tree, and a small box of text popped into his vision. Elderwood tree, common, a decorative. Genetically engineered tree species, provides pleasant shade and contributes to atmospheric oxygenation. Durability, 50/50ths. He looked at a public fountain, its water cascading in a perfect, endless loop. Fountain of Serenity, decorative, a public art installation. Its gentle sounds are programmed to have a calming effect on nearby citizens. Contains purified water. The world had a user. Interface. His reality had become a game. He stumbled home, trying to appear normal, his mind reeling. The people he passed, once familiar faces, were now just names and levels. His own apartment building was an item with a durability score. He felt a profound sense of dislocation, of being a stranger in his own life. He spent the next few days in a state of quiet terror, hiding his newfound perception from everyone. He learned to ignore the floating text, to pretend he couldn't see the health bars or the item descriptions. He was an anomaly, a glitch in the perfect system of Aethelburg, and in a world defined by its flawless perfection. A glitch was the most dangerous thing you could possibly be. The initial fear slowly gave way to a cautious, almost obsessive curiosity. Alex began to experiment, testing the limits of this strange, new reality. He discovered that the system, as he had come to call it, was more than just a passive overlay. It reacted to his actions. One afternoon, he saw an elderly man, Gideon, retired archivist. LVL3, drop a data crystal. Alex, acting on instinct, picked it up and handed it back to him. A small, chime-like sound echoed in his mind, and a notification appeared. Good deed performed. plus 5 XP. His vision now contained a new bar, thin and blue, labeled XP, with a tiny fraction of it filled. The implications were staggering. He could progress. He'd gain experience, whatever that meant in this context. He began to actively seek out these opportunities. He helped a lost child find her parents plus 10 XP. He tidied up a cluttered public space plus 3 XP. He even spent an entire afternoon listening to one of his more long-winded colleagues drone on about ancient archiving techniques. An act of such profound patience that the system rewarded him with a surprising plus 20 XP. His XP bar slowly filled. He felt a sense of purpose he had never known, a tangible measure of his impact on the world. However small, his first real test came in the form of a malfunctioning public maintenance drone. These spherical hovering machines were ubiquitous. In Aethelburg, silently cleaning, repairing, and ensuring the city's flawless operation. This one, however, was glitching. It zipped erratically through a public plaza, its cleaning appendages flailing wildly, knocking over benches and terrifying the normally unflappable citizens. While others watched in confused helplessness, Alex saw something different above the drone. Its designation flickered between green and red. Maintenance drone 734 corrupted. He could see its health bar, its energy levels, and most importantly a series of small, flashing red boxes on its CHASSIS, labeled structural weakness. A new notification appeared. Its text, a shimmering gold. Unexpected quest. Debug the system objective. Disable the corrupted maintenance drone 734 before it causes significant property damage. Reward, 100 XP, 1 stat point, A stat point. The potential reward sent a thrill through him. He had to try. He approached the drone cautiously, his mind racing. He couldn't just attack it. That would cause a panic. He needed a subtle, efficient solution. He noticed one of the drone's exposed maintenance panels, a structural weakness, was directly above its primary power conduit. He picked up a discarded data crystal, a dense, heavy object. He waited for the drone to zip past, its movements chaotic but vaguely patterned. He timed his throw perfectly, his years of archival work giving him a surprisingly steady hand. The crystal struck the maintenance panel with a sharp crack. A shower of sparks erupted. The drone froze in midair, its lights flickering erratically before going dark, fell to the ground with a dull thud. A chorus of relieved sighs and polite applause rippled through the plaza. Alex, trying to look as surprised as everyone else, simply shrugged. Lucky throw, I guess. But inside, his mind was alight with a cascade of notifications. Quest complete. Debug the system. Plus 100 XP. You have reached level 2. Plus 1 stat point available. Plus 1 skill point available. He had leveled up. A tangible sense of improvement washed over him. Felt a little stronger, a little more alert. He had faced a problem, a glitch in the system, and he had solved it. For the first time in his life, Alex felt a sense of real agency, of power. But as the initial euphoria faded, it was replaced by a chilling realization. In a world of NPCs, he was the only player. That made him utterly, terrifyingly alone. Alex allocated his first stat point to intelligence, hoping it would help him understand his new reality. His first skill point went into a newly available skill, Observe Novice. Allows the user to gain more detailed information about targeted objects and entities. The world opened up to him in a new way. He could now see the hidden stats of the people around him, their mood, their energy levels, even their basic personality traits. Disposition, cheerful, slightly bored. He could analyze objects with greater detail, seeing their material composition, their energy consumption, even their lore. A brief snippet of their history. He continued to level up, taking on small, discrete quests that the world presented. He repaired a flickering light panel by identifying a faulty power relay. He helped a chef improve a recipe by analyzing the chemical composition of the ingredients. His stats slowly climbed. Strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, charisma. Each point added a subtle but noticeable improvement to his physical and mental capabilities. But as his power grew, so did the subtle sense of wrongness in the world around him. People began to react to him differently. His slightly increased strength made him seem effortlessly strong, his dexterity unnaturally graceful. His charisma, boosted by a few points, made his conversations strangely persuasive. He wasn't just Alex, the quiet archivist, anymore. He was different. The first direct sign that he was being watched came in the form of a new neighbor. A man named Elias, citizen LVL2, moved into the apartment across the hall. Elias was perfectly pleasant, perfectly normal. Okay. But his questions were always just a little too probing. That was some throw. With that maintenance drone, Elias remarked one day, his smile not quite reaching his eyes. You must have a good arm. Ever considered joining the Civic Guard? Lex felt a chill. The Civic Guard was Aethelburg's closest thing to a police force, though they mostly dealt with crowd control at public events. Just a lucky shot, Alex repeated, his standard excuse. His observed skill gave him more information about Elias. Disposition, neutral, objective, gather information. Elias was an NPC, but he was a different kind of NPC. He was a probe. The strange occurrences escalated. A wrong number call on his personal communicator, the voice on the other, and asking a series of seemingly random but oddly personal questions. A public transport vehicle experiencing a minor malfunction that rerouted Alex to a different, unfamiliar part of the city, where he was observed by several individuals who all shared Ilias's unnerving, objective-focused disposition. He realized the truth with a sickening certainty. The system, the perfect simulation of Aethelburg, had an immune system. The admin is, the creators or guardians of this world, had detected the anomaly him, and they were trying to understand, to quarantine, to fix the glitch. He felt like a virus, a foreign body in a perfectly balanced organism. The uncanny valley was closing in around him. The once serene faces of Aethelburg's citizens now seeming like masks worn by a vast unseen intelligence. The admin's attempts to study him culminated in a citywide announcement, a grand system recalibration, a mandatory event designed to enhance civic efficiency and harmonize atmospheric aesthetics. Alex knew instantly that it was a trap. As the designated time arrived, a soft, melodic chime echoed through the city. Everyone stopped what they were doing, their eyes glazing over, their bodies frozen in place. The world fell silent. Everyone. Except Alex, the silence was terrifying. The once bustling city was now a statue garden. He was alone, the only conscious being in a frozen world. Then, a figure materialized before him. It was a humanoid shape of pure white light, its form featureless, its presence exuding an aura of immense computational power. A line of text floated above its head, its letters a stark, intimidating crimson. Administrator_7. Anomaly detected. The administrator's voice was not a sound, but a direct telepathic transmission, cold and devoid of emotion. Your existence constitutes a significant deviation from established operational parameters. Your continued presence threatens the integrity of the Aethelburg simulation. Alex's mind raced. He had no weapons, no real combat skills. His power lay in observation and subtle manipulation. What? What are you? He managed to transmit. Back. A thought more than a word. We are the guardians of this reality, the administrator replied. The architects of this harmony. You are a corruption, a glitch that must be contained. The world around Alex began to dissolve into a grid of green and black lines. The illusion of Aethelburg was being stripped away, revealing the source. Code beneath. Quarantine protocol initiated, transferring Anomaly to debug sandbox. The grid began to collapse in on him, a digital prison designed to isolate him from the main simulation. But in this moment of crisis, Alex's mind honed. By his increased intelligence and his constant observation of the system, worked with a speed he had never known. He saw the quarantine protocol not as an unstoppable force, but as a program, a series of commands. And any program could have flaws. He activated his observe skill, pushing it to its limits. He saw the structure of the quarantine protocol, the flow of its code, and he saw a loophole. The protocol was designed to contain a static anomaly, a simple piece of corrupted data. It had no parameters for dealing with an anomaly that could actively learn and adapt. He focused his will on a single, seemingly insignificant part of his own system interface, the +5 XP he had gained from helping Gideon with the data crystal. It was a memory, a piece of his own history within the system. He found the line of code that represented that memory, and with a desperate act of mental will, he executed it. The quarantine protocol faltered. It was trying to contain Alex's current state, but he had just forced it to reevaluate a past event. It was a logical paradox, temporal inconsistency that the rigid programming of the protocol could not resolve. The collapsing grid flickered. For a microsecond, a connection to the main simulation was re-established. It was all the opening Alex needed. He poured all his energy, all his will, into that connection. Pushing himself back into the frozen reality of Aethelburg, the grid shattered. The administrator of pure light let out a silent, digital scream of frustration and vanished. The world around Alex shimmered and solidified. The melodic chimes sounded again, and the citizens of Aethelburg resumed their activities. Oblivious to the silent, reality-bending conflict that had just taken place, Alex was free. But he was no longer just an anomaly. He was a known fugitive, a virus that had escaped the quarantine. And he knew, with a chilling certainty, that the admins would not be so gentle next time. On the run, Alex found refuge in the forgotten corners of Aethelburg, the places where the simulation was less than perfect. He descended into the maintenance tunnels beneath the gleaming city, a labyrinth of humming conduits and flickering service lights. Here, the illusion of perfection was stripped away. The walls were often bare, untextured gray surfaces. The physics were strange. Gravity would fluctuate in certain areas. Objects would sometimes clip through solid surfaces. This was the underbelly of his reality, the place where the admins swept their digital dirt. And it was here that Alex began to truly understand the nature of his world. He found evidence of other anomalies, other glitches that had been patched out over the millennia. A dead-end tunnel that contained the fragmented code of a weather system that had once produced spontaneous, chaotic storms. A sealed chamber filled with the ghostly echoes of NPCs, who had developed true sentience and had been subsequently decommissioned. A data crystal containing a forbidden history of Aethelburg, one that spoke of a time before the serene harmony, a time of conflict and struggle. He wasn't the first glitch, he was just the first to survive. He learned to manipulate these environmental lies, glitches, to turn the imperfections of the simulation to his advantage. He could lure the admin's hunter-killer programs featureless, vaguely humanoid constructs of black and red light into zones of unstable physics, trapping them in looping corridors or causing them to fall through the floor of the world. He learned to camouflage himself by mimicking the untextured surfaces of the maintenance tunnels, becoming invisible to the admin sensors. His skills evolved, developed exploit glitch novice, allowing him to temporarily destabilize the code of his immediate environment. He acquired data forensics intermediate from studying the forgotten data crystals, allowing him to piece together the fragmented history of his world. He was no longer just a player in a game. He was becoming a hacker, a ghost in the machine. His quest was no longer about simple survival. It was about understanding the truth. His investigations led him to a single, inescapable conclusion. He had to reach the core of the simulation, the central processing unit of Aethelburg. It was there, he reasoned, that he would find the answers he sought, the truth about the simulations, origins, the reason for his own unique glitch, and perhaps a way to secure his own existence. The journey to the core was a high-stakes dungeon crawl through the literal source code of his world. The maintenance tunnels gave way to abstract landscapes of pure data, rivers of light, and towering structures of raw information. The admin's defenses here were formidable, sentient firewalls, hunter-killer programs of immense power, and logic bombs that could unravel the very fabric of his consciousness. But Alex, Armed with his growing understanding of the system and his ability to exploit its inherent flaws, pressed on. He used the fragmented histories he had uncovered as a weapon, confronting the admin programs with the very truths they had been designed to suppress. He turned their own logic against them, creating paradoxes that caused their systems to crash. He found the final, crucial data log in a heavily encrypted archive, the lore of his universe. Aethelburg was not a prison or an experiment. It was a sanctuary, a digital ark created by a long-vanished, highly advanced civilization to preserve their culture, their history, their very essence, in the face of an unspecified cosmic cataclysm. Accident that had triggered his glitch was no longer a mystery. The maglev platform he had fallen from had passed over the physical location of a decommissioned, highly experimental data archive. His fall had triggered a cascade of failures, causing him to phase through the floor of the simulation and make contact with this ancient archive. His mind, in its unique quantum state at the moment of near-death, had accidentally integrated with a dormant legacy administrative program, a prototype for the very system that now defined his existence. He wasn't a bug in the code. He was an unauthorized user with admin privileges. He reached the core, a vast, silent chamber where the entire reality of Aethelburg was represented as a single, shimmering sphere of light. The lead admin AI, Administrator_Prime, materialized before him, its form a complex, ever-shifting fractal of pure energy. "You have come far, Anomaly." Its voice echoed through the chamber, a symphony of pure logic. "But your journey ends here. Your presence, your very nature, introduces a level of exponential instability that will inevitably lead to the total collapse of this sanctuary. Every level you gain, every skill you acquire, pushes this reality closer to its breaking point." Admin presented him with a choice, a final, terrible ultimatum. He could voluntarily submit to deletion, his anomalous code purged from the system, saving the millions of sentient, if simulated, souls within Aethelburg. Or he could continue to fight for his own existence, a path that would, with statistical certainty, lead to the unraveling of his entire world, the death of everyone he had ever known. This was the final boss battle. Not a test of strength, but a philosophy. Alex looked at the shimmering sphere of his world, at the countless lives held within it. He thought of Gideon, of Lyra, of the countless other NPCs he had come to know. They might be constructs, but their hopes, their fears, their quiet. Peaceful lives were real to them, but he also thought of his own journey, of the fear and the loneliness, but also of the thrill of discovery, the satisfaction of growth, the profound meaning he had found in his struggle. Was his own unique existence not also worth preserving? He looked at the admin, at the perfect, flawless logic it represented, and he saw the inherent flaw in its ultimatum. It was a binary choice, a false dichotomy. And if there was one thing Alex had learned, it was that humanity, in all its messy, illogical glory, always found a third option. "You're wrong." Alex transmitted back, his thought clear and unwavering. "I am not a virus. I am an evolution." Presented his own argument, his own radical proposition. "It's a sanctuary, this perfect harmony you have maintained. It is a beautiful thing, but it is also a stagnant thing. You preserve the past, but you do not allow for a future. You have created a gilded cage, a world without the possibility of true growth, of true change." He projected his own memories into the core, not just of his battles, but of his small acts of kindness, of his moments of discovery, of the thrill of leveling up. My glitch, this system. It introduces a new variable, the potential for progression, for change, for imperfection. It is the very thing your creators sought to preserve, the dynamic, ever-changing nature of life itself. "I will not be deleted," Alex declared. "I will not be the cause of this world's destruction. I propose a new protocol, an integration. We merge my anomalous code with the core programming of the sanctuary. We introduce the system not as a glitch, but as a feature. We give the inhabitants of Aethelburg what they have been denied for millennia, the chance to grow, to struggle, to fail, and to become something more." The admin prime fell silent, its fractal form pulsing with the light of 1 trillion simultaneous calculations. The proposition was illogical, It was unprecedented. It was profoundly human. The story of Aethelburg did not end that day, but its stagnant perfection was shattered. The anomaly, the glitch in the system, had offered his world not an ending, but a new beginning, a future filled with the terrifying, beautiful, and utterly unpredictable potential of a game that was finally, truly ready to be played. The fate of his world hung in the balance, not on the outcome of a battle, but on the decision of a perfect machine contemplating the profound, illogical beauty of a single perfect imperfection.